Imagine this. Two people are diagnosed with high blood pressure. The first person immediately cuts back on salt. They stop adding it to their food, avoid salty snacks, and follow every piece of advice they can find. The second person makes a few changes too, but doesn't focus much on salt. A few months later, something unexpected happens. The second person's blood pressure improves dramatically. The first person's barely changes. How is that possible? For years, we've been told that salt is the main cause of high blood pressure. And while salt can certainly play a role, the truth is much more complicated. Because for many people, high blood pressure isn't caused by a single problem. It's often the result of several hidden factors working together behind the scenes. And if you're only focusing on salt, you might be missing some of the biggest drivers of the problem. Let's start with something most people never think about. If salt automatically caused high blood pressure, then everyone who ate a high-sodium diet would have hypertension. But that's not what happens. Some people seem extremely sensitive to sodium. Others can consume much more and experience very little change. Why? Because blood pressure isn't determined by sodium alone. Your body has systems designed to maintain balance. When those systems are functioning properly, they can often handle occasional increases in sodium without causing long-term problems. That's why two people can eat very similar diets and end up with completely different blood pressure readings. Which brings us to one of the most overlooked nutrients in the entire discussion: magnesium. Magnesium helps support hundreds of processes throughout the body. One of its important roles is helping blood vessels relax and function normally. When magnesium levels are low, blood vessels may become less efficient at expanding and responding to changes in blood flow. The problem is that many modern diets don't provide enough magnesium-rich foods. Highly processed foods often contain very little of this important mineral, and many people simply aren't eating enough foods like leafy greens, beans, nuts, seeds, and other natural sources. Researchers have repeatedly observed that people with lower magnesium levels tend to have higher rates of high blood pressure. Now, magnesium isn't a miracle solution, but it may be one piece of a much larger puzzle. Another major piece of that puzzle involves something most people associate with diabetes, not blood pressure: blood sugar. More specifically, insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone that helps move sugar from the bloodstream into cells. But over time, some people's cells become less responsive to insulin. When that happens, the body often produces more of it, and elevated insulin levels can affect much more than blood sugar. They can influence how the body manages fluids, minerals, and blood vessel function. This may help explain why high blood pressure frequently appears alongside prediabetes, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. It's also one reason why improving metabolic health can sometimes improve blood pressure as well. And that leads directly to another hidden factor: added sugar. Many processed foods contain surprisingly large amounts of sugar. Soft drinks, sweetened beverages, desserts, packaged snacks, and even foods that don't taste particularly sweet can contribute significant amounts. Over time, excessive sugar intake can place stress on multiple systems throughout the body. This doesn't mean all sugar is equally harmful. Whole fruits come packaged with fiber, water, and nutrients that help slow absorption. The bigger concern is the constant exposure to highly processed sources of added sugar that have become common in modern diets. Now let's talk about another nutrient that rarely gets the attention it deserves: potassium. While sodium often dominates conversations about blood pressure, potassium plays an equally important role. Potassium helps support healthy blood vessel function and helps maintain balance within the body. The problem is that many people consume large amounts of sodium while getting very little potassium. In other words, the balance is often moving in the wrong direction. Foods like potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, tomatoes, spinach, and other vegetables are excellent sources of potassium. And interestingly, many of these foods also provide other nutrients that support overall cardiovascular health. At this point, a pattern should be starting to emerge. High blood pressure is rarely caused by one thing. It's usually the result of multiple factors gradually pushing the body in the wrong direction. Poor sleep can contribute. Chronic stress can contribute. Lack of exercise can contribute. Nutrient deficiencies can contribute. Metabolic problems can contribute. And when several of these factors exist at the same time, the effects can begin to add up. That's why there's no single food, supplement, or habit that works for everyone. The real goal is to look at the bigger picture, because when people focus on only one possible cause, they often miss the other factors that may be having an even greater impact. So the next time someone tells you that high blood pressure is simply a salt problem, remember this: the human body is far more complex than that. For some people, reducing sodium can absolutely help, but for many others, the bigger opportunity lies in improving overall diet quality, supporting metabolic health, getting enough key nutrients, managing stress, staying active, and addressing the underlying factors that may be driving blood pressure higher in the first place. And sometimes, understanding the bigger picture is the first step towards making meaningful improvements. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more health myths, surprising science, and evidence-based facts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.